Hello, everyone in TV land, in my Zoom room and out there in the rest of the exciting place called TV land. We're doing role play, and it's a class that you really take in your own, whatever your body needs. So this is really about tuning into listening in and allowing your body to inform you what's going on. And there's Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie.
Hi.
Nice to see you. We're recording, so just so you know, but I'm spotlit, so you won't be on the recording. We're going to start seated, and I'm going to work with the developmental patterns. So the developmental patterns are just the patterns that humans and babies go through from birth, the movement patterns that from birth, we go into this sort of amorphous, oh, I'm alive, I have skin, I can feel that I have a body, sort of amorphous breath support.
Okay, so can you hear it, Chuck?
What's that?
I'm sorry. Mute.
Yeah. Okay. So we have breath support, the first thing, baby born, first breath. So finding that deep connection to breath as the first thing, allowing yourself to just tune into the rhythm of your own breath. And you can close your eyes for a second. Let's just land in breath. Or leave your eyes open, whatever feels good to you, however you like to land in your body. Feeling the rise and fall of the breath. And imagining every cell in your body breathing. So the breath is sort of happening on this macro scale and on this micro scale. And if it's possible, maybe tuning into or flipping back and forth between those two awarenesses, the big awareness and then the small awareness. And if at any time you feel like you would rather be laying down or on all fours or in any other position, feel free to be in a position that's comfortable for you. So everything we do is completely an invitation. This is just an inquiry. It's for you to tune into yourself, for me to tune into myself, for us to do that at the same time. Listening into the sense of movement and shape in your body and sort of moving shape. So as, it doesn't have to be a big movement, but as you're alive, like what's moving and what sort of shapes is it forming? Are you curving? Are you arching? Are you curling? With the breath tuning into the idea that we are bodies of water, and so that there's whirlpools and eddies and ripples happening inside. And each breath has the capacity to enliven and awaken different parts of ourselves. So just inviting everything that feels good to come online, to come into sensation, into tune with your body. In that growing and shrinking of the breath. And then starting to imagine that we're sort of like a single-celled creature. We have like our nucleus and then our edge. And it's a sense of this radiation from the center to the edge and then coming back into center. So we're growing outward and we're coming back to center, radiating from our, could be from our navel, could be from our spine, could be from anywhere. And I'm just gonna actually lay down for this for myself. So feel free to stay seated or lay on the floor, anything that feels good, but inviting in the sense of amorphousness of like, if you're just a big wet ball with sort of a nucleus, how would your body move in that fluid, I want to almost say amniotic way. It's like we're in this, I think that's another image, the amniotic sac, this fluid body. We've found a little bit of growing and shrinking with the breath. So radiating outward and coming back in and inviting any kind of fluid wave-like movement or tentacle movement into your body. So instead of having to stay still, you're listening for movement and maybe even nudging it, sending little tiny ripples and waves or big ripples and waves through your body. So coming from this center to periphery. We could also say core distal, center to the edge, awareness, or yeah, center to periphery, like a ball. How do we feel our surface, and how do we come back into center with our awareness? Maybe closing your eyes, allowing yourself to come more deep to the internal sensations of body or body mind. And then maybe participating a little bit more into this idea of growing and shrinking, so that we can do it with the breath or not with the breath, that we feel this expansion as we radiate outward, and then maybe a little contraction coming back in. And thinking of the expansion and contraction not even happening on a muscular level, but happening on a fluid level. So fluids are radiating outward and then coming back in. We could think of blood flow, lymphatic, and also cerebrospinal fluid moving in that outward, inward movement. And inviting any kind of movement to join in, big, small, whatever your body needs. Thinking almost as if you were a baby who'd just been born. How would you move? Or a baby who's maybe 3 months old, how would you move? What's interesting and alive to explore in movement? Reaching away from center and coming back to center in any way, as big or as small as feels good. And from that place, let's bring the spine online. We already talked about the cerebral spinal fluid, which is inside, bolstering. It's inside of our cranium, inside of our spinal cord, bolstering or protecting our spinal cord, protecting our brain. And it filters through us 3 or 4 times a day. It's the closest thing to fresh water that we have in our body. So tuning into that fluid river within the spine, thinking of it from your head to your tail. So bringing on the head-tail connection, which would be our sort of third developmental pattern. After breath support, core distal, we kind of come into this head-tail relationship. So you could think like a tadpole, how tadpoles move in the water. Just inviting in any kind of fluid, easy movement through the head-tail connection. Feeling into what the tempo of that is for you. Imagining that your arms and legs are just part of the spinal connection, so that they're not locked up. They're part of this head-tail connection. They're the extensions out and away from the head-tail connection. So you don't need to stop them from moving. They can be participating in the action of head-tail in whatever way feels interesting. And it could be on your side, it could be on your belly, it could be on your back, it could be seated, you could be in quadruped, really anything that feels good to you. So thinking as if this internal massage is happening around your nervous system, little tiny micro movements or big movements or some kind of combination. At each movement, sort of creating more space in the fascia for the nervous system to route through. And imagining that as you're in that movement, whatever the movement is, It's just inviting any kind of inflammation to kind of calm down, resettle, and reintegrate. Inviting your systems to come online together so that the systems of the body are working in harmony. Blood flow, lymph, heartbeat with the blood flow, breathing, oxygen moving in and around your body, nourishing your cells, taking away waste, which is also what's happening with the cerebral spinal fluid as it's moving through filtering. It's bringing nutrition and taking away waste. So movement helps that all happen, and any kind of movement that feels good is the invitation. So in the interest of getting through the developmental patterns, and you can take this at whatever level feels good to you, if you want to do it or not, playing with the developmental pattern of right to left. So we call it a homolateral pattern. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to do upper lower first. I got all into my flow. And I feel like with head tail, we did a lot of upper versus lower. So maybe let's go back to upper versus lower, just feeling like the sense of growing and lengthening through the length of your body and then shrinking back in, finding this connection of upper versus lower. We can unfold and open or push into the floor, the top of the body to the bottom of the body, reaching either towards itself or away from itself. So this is kind of one of the first big patterns that the big movement patterns that babies are developing, often on their stomachs, where they start to orient with their eyes, lifting up and looking around. So you can bring the eyes online in that orientation if that's interesting. And it doesn't have to be just upper versus lower, just bringing the idea of upper versus lower into your mind, which we've already been playing a lot with because we've been doing head tail. So playing with the edges of your body from the very top to the very bottom in whatever way feels good. It could just be the idea of it. Yeah, I'm really desiring the side, so I'm going to take it along into, so that was homologous, upper versus lower, homologous movement. And then homolateral, right side versus left side. You can see lizards often kind of have this right side versus left side body patterning where it's like, we can do it in a few different ways, just rolling from side to side. So here's the lizard version. I see you're looking, Bonnie. Here's the lizard version, like body halving. And then just the rolling. Yeah. Letting yourself open and close in whatever way feels good. Or maybe you're doing something totally different. And if you have found something that you're interested in exploring, by all means, do that. So whatever feels right to you. Yeah, the side pattern. I'm adding some upper versus lower with my side, becoming a little more integrated in all those patterns together. So this developmental patterning stuff it's very fundamental to the Bartenieff fundamentals, which are part of the Laban system, but also in BMC, body mind centering. And Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen studied with Irmgard Bartenieff. So, and then she took it a lot deeper with all the different body stuff that she does. So, but these patterns are pretty fundamental to human development. And you can also sometimes find like, oh, I really crave one of the patterns. I really crave the side movement, or I really crave up down movement, or I really crave cross body movement. So let's get to that. So cross body movement, contralateral movement, running, walking. It's like right arm, left leg, or even right shoulder, left hip. Like you could do it in a small way, finding a diagonal pattern across your body, or you can do it in a big way, either crawling or anything, but finding this cross body. So this is really great for organizing our brains, the cross body stuff. There's something that happens in the corpus callosum when we work this pattern. Donna Eden, who does all this energy medicine stuff, she wrote a book about it, and she teaches classes. She talks about that, and it's also in Tai Chi, cross crawl, contralateral patterning. So finding ways to bring that contralateral movement online, running, walking, many forms of swimming work in that contralateral pattern, and humans were just made to do that. We were made to do a lot of it. So like a lot of walking or a lot of whatever, traversing in that pattern. Feeling free now to just explore anything and everything as feels good and interesting to you. And I'm going to give us some music. And just let the music help. Let the music offer its own desire for movement. How's that volume? Too loud? Is it good? Good? Okay. Nice to see you, Cassie. Playing with all of the things, none of the things, whatever feels good to you, whatever your body needs. You may feel like you want to shift your weight more or less. Feel free. You don't have to stay on the floor, but you can. Super duper permission. Permission to feel good. Permission to have delicious movement, to follow delicious movement. And I'm just going to name some of those ideas again as you're in your movement, like growing and shrinking with the breath, radiating away from center, coming back into center. Allowing the water in your body to spiral and eddy. And I just want to throw one more idea in there because we didn't talk at all about the bones, but thinking about the bones also as being incredibly fluid. And bone is deeply involved in your immune system. So just inviting the participation of bone in your movement in whatever way feels good. Hello, bones. Finding that sort of earthy grounding of having bones. And one way to think also is that we're sort of yielding into the floor or yielding into the ground as we roll and push, pull. So it's not a struggle, like a juicy pouring of your body around the floor. Oh, Lord Gaylord has come into and licking his chops to participate. Yeah, any kind of sort of push-pull is playing with that upper versus lower pattern. Just looking for another song. I think I'm just not going to play any more songs. I'll just let it go. Yeah, letting yourself listen to your own rhythm, your own sound, your own body. You could add breath sounds to the movement. Even vocal sounds, if that feels good. So if we add like vocalization, like a or ah, it's going to vibrate the tissue in another way. Or just giving yourself full freedom for exploration. Seeing if there's anything that you're ready to let go of. It's autumn. What leaves need to fall off of your tree? What's ready to die? What's ready to be put to rest? Just inviting any kind of energetic patterning that's not serving you to just fall away, falling off of you like leaves to the ground. And the ground can absorb it. Right? We're connected to the earth. Letting yourself enclose into yourself or open out so that you're nourishing your own needs for expression in your body, whatever they are. If you give yourself a big yum, like you just tasted the most delicious thing in the world, what does that feel like in your body? Or that kind of stretch, open and expand feeling. Sometimes when I make noises, it feels so much better, like, oh, and they can be weird noises, but adding sound sometimes makes it so much more fun and delicious. Yeah, and if you feel like you've had enough and you're ready to stop moving, come into stillness. Stillness is a great resource at any time, allowing your body a chance to process all the things, whatever you need to process the movement, process your life, process being human. Allowing yourself to come into stillness, if that is of interest. You don't have to, but if you feel like it, feel free to come in and let go. Yeah, and as we're coming to the end of the hour, let's come back in together for a second. If you're really deeply in a flow that you want to stay there, please feel free to stay. You don't have to come in, but I'm going to stop recording. Thank you, everybody who showed up in TV land.